today's insight is going to be about keeping your promise after a trauma. So, today I went to visit my grandma at in a home that she's placed, and it was interesting because I saw this man coming to visit his wife, and he didn't really stay for much. He stays for a couple of minutes, then he leaves. But the interesting thing is that before leaving, he spoke with me and he's like, well, at least you're lucky. You can actually have a conversation with your grandmother. I can't have a conversation with my wife. And I was like, okay, but they're still together, right? And which brought me to something my father always told me. He said, to us, me and my sister, he said, girls, pick your partner wisely because you are going to be with them. Once you are married, you are going to be with them until you die. Now, leaving your partner because something has changed is foreign to us, at least in my family. I am Armenian, and Armenians are slowly but surely beginning to ride the wave. But in our church, once you get divorced, you cannot get remarried, right? Because as my father always said, what God has united, man cannot break apart. And so what I saw today with that man and his wife was telling to that, yes, they're having difficulty, but they're still together. And you're like, yeah, but no. But that was a promise that he made. He made a promise for in sickness and in health. Till death do we part. Till death do us part, right? That's the way it is. You choose to be together for the rest of your lives. Literally. And so to me, this is not foreign. This is normal. And so that is why it has taken me this long to find my partner. And I hope my partner is of the same mind as me. Because I ain't gonna back out from my promise. So, but to come back to the topic at hand, which is till death do us part. And then that got me thinking, well, first it's more like, okay, but you can't, I was like, I first thought of, alright, so if you're two, and what if you divorce your partner? But there's the one thing you cannot divorce, which is yourself. Your body cannot divorce your soul. And then that got me thinking, right? That got me thinking of all the people who literally after trauma have lost faith in life, in themselves, in God, and who are just spending the rest of their lives wallowing in misery, wanting something else. Okay? And that's when I thought that, okay, so they are unhappy, which means that there is some type of disconnect at some point. So in reality, their soul has divorced their body in a way. But technically, that only happens when you have lost hope, when you've lost faith. And if you regain faith in life, if you regain faith in yourself, if you regain a love of life, then all of it should come back together. Which practically means that in a relationship, if there's a disconnect, there should be work. The two parties should work together to rekindle the love, is what I'm getting. So even after a trauma, even after something, one partner, it might have fallen ill, might have been hit by a car. I was not in a relationship back then, but you never know. It's something might happen which changes things, right? And it is only normal to want to separate, but technically you shouldn't, because if you continue to work on it, that is how small aspects can be made, which is what I saw in myself. So it's not going to be perfect and it's going to take time, but if you want to, and if you put in the effort and the time, you give it time and effort and consistency, it is gonna come back. Not necessarily what it was before, but definitely it will come back. So ultimately, I don't see why people are quick to get married and even quicker to separate, but that's just because that's the mentality in which I was brought up. You work on it together. But that is to say that you need to want to work on it together. So when a separation actually occurs, that's because one or both parties don't want to work on the relationship together anymore, which means that there will no longer be any effort put into regaining joy, regaining happiness. And when that happens, well, there's no use in working on it anymore, because one party is no longer willing to invest time or energy in that. So what I want you to ponder is there any type of relationship in your life where you have lost hope and faith, and that you're no longer looking to regain the joy that you once had? Ponder that.